It is basically regenerating our cells. And interestingly enough, the guest that you had before talking about Parkinson's disease, and you were asking her what her diet was like. I mean, I always thought it was about our diets, and of course, I mean that's huge, but I think some of it is generational. I mean that goes back to the diets too, but there's something about having a simple, clean diet, and that we're coming back to. I feel like it's in the old days. I mean, it wasn't old, but when I became excited about this diet in this world back in the late 60s, early 70s, we were looked at as sort of weird. And now it's mainstream. Everybody is wanting to find out how to be healthy. I think, especially in Los Angeles, we want to be beautiful. We want to keep our brains together. So when this woman was speaking, all I could think about was E3 Live, because what are we facing? I mean, what are the three organs of elimination? Liver and kidney, and the skin is the largest organ of elimination. And everything that we eat has to go through these three organs. So when we're eating food that is not good for us, we're depleting our body, we're degenerating our health. But with this food, I'm finding that it is building our body back up. It is giving us something that, that I wanted to touch upon, what she was speaking about, the mental concerns. It was a lot about the brain that she was talking about. Well, we've found that there's a very rare, it's very rare that a nutrient can get through the blood-brain barrier. These little ventricles.
Yes.
And E3 Live can. So the human brain structure is made of essential fatty acids. 15% is literally essential fat. And then 80% is water, and the rest are cells. So we have 95 trillion cells in our body. 85 trillion of those cells are in our brain alone. Right. So the breakdown of our brain is a huge thing right now that we have to pay attention to, especially the baby boomers that are coming on now. That, I mean, even for myself, it's like maybe this was the age that you would retire at, and now we're looking at a world that needs help. And a lot of us have the answers, and we have work to do. So how are we going to be able to stay healthy? And this gets back to the brain. And what is so amazing about E3 Live is that it takes care of the neurons in our body. It regenerates them. So what does it do? It makes us feel good. It makes us happy. It takes care of mood. And when the brain is happy, it sends all of those neurotransmitters into our body, and the organs can function properly. And I want to say this too, that of course you say, okay, just go buy this product. This is amazing. It is, to me, it's like a rocket fuel. And I don't drink coffee. And I've always had a lot of energy, but this is something that I can hardly, I'm so excited about it. I can hardly speak enough about it. And I get so excited when I do my demos to tell people about it when I go to either Whole Foods or Lassen's or any of the health food stores around. When I stand at my demo table and I see people walking into the health food store, the places that we come and we spend our good-earned money because we want to be healthy, and people, they don't have time or they don't like the taste or something like that, I think to myself, the reason they're coming into the health food store is because they want health.
Yes.
Well, in my life experience, E3 Live is the jewels. It is the treasure chest of all health.
So you mentioned that E3 Live is complete protein, like eating meat, fish, or eggs. What other nutrients or trace minerals or vitamins does it contain?
Well, I'm still learning about it myself. I've only been with the company for about 6 months, but I know that it has 64 vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. It has significantly more chlorophyll than wheatgrass, chlorella, or spirulina.
And chlorophyll is what exactly?
I don't know how to explain that, actually. Chlorophyll is... Well, I'm stumped there. Like I said, I'm still learning things.
Well, chlorophyll is involved with blood building. It helps the body carry iron. That's why we use all green vegetables that are rich in chlorophyll.
Okay.
Is it rich in trace minerals? Is there zinc in it? Is there selenium? Is there chromium?
I don't know all those specifically, but you're more than welcome. Anybody's here more than welcome to check out our website, e3live.com. Anybody can call into the company, and we have a team of people there more than willing to help. And I am learning as much as I can, and I know I've learned a lot, but as far as breaking everything down, I'm still learning.
Sure.
And my work has always been intuitive. And I am, when I first had my sample at Whole Foods, I didn't feel good that day actually, which is rare for me. And I went home, and I didn't even know what to think about it, but I knew something intuitively. And I waited for a little bit, and then I ordered a whole case from the company. And then when I started taking it, my body started changing. And I can say that when I left my mother's house at 18, or really I started 16, 17, finding out about foods, Whole Foods, that was when I felt my body going through a paradigm shift, where from living in Southern California, I moved to Hawaii. We started fasting, cleansing, doing amazing things to find out a new body.
Sure.
That was the first paradigm shift I went through. I've been going pretty strong all my life. I'm 58 now, but this is the second paradigm shift I found in my body. And
what did the E3 Live do for you on a personal level?
It did so many things. First of all, I'm emotional a lot. I'm a musician, and I'm just living life like everybody else, trying to figure things out. And I found that it really balanced me emotionally. And it also helped my brain, because I know that I would go in a room and go, what did I come in here for? And,
right. That can be problematic, really.
But then I realized I'm not doing that anymore.
Huh?
And then I also felt that part of me felt I'm just getting older. This is just sort of going to be happening to me, and it's part of the humble. And I find that E3 Live is changing a lot of that for me. I feel stronger. I feel that it is doing something to me in my brain. I can feel in my body, my whole body.
And how much E3 Live do you use a day, and how much you recommend people use? Is there different dosages we can use?
Well, to start off with, what I was going to say is that when you begin taking E3 Live, you need to be respectful and go slowly. It's so powerful. I mean, I started out taking a tablespoon a day for a month.
Tablespoon a day, what, mixed in water?
Yes, I took it in water. Now you can take it in your juice, in your anything you want, in a blender, in a smoothie. I just wanted it right in my body in water. I would wake up. I felt like when I got it, I felt like a little kid at Christmas, because it is frozen. The reason it's called E3 Live is because it comes right out of the lake, and they freeze it. I mean, there's been other algae out of Klamath Lake, freeze dried. I know that, but this is live. It's frozen. So when you have to keep it frozen. So I would get up in the morning and I put it in a bowl of water, just cold water, or I put it in cold water, and I'd let it thaw for a little bit, and then I would pour myself out an ounce or whatever.
Let it thaw for how long?
Well, it depends on if you've got the 16-ounce bottle or if you've got the 8-ounce bottle, and depending on how full it is. Sometimes I would wait half an hour.
Oh, you pour the entire bottle out?
No, I wouldn't pour it out. I put it in water. I put it in water to let it thaw.
Oh, you put the entire bottle in water. I see. I
Yes,
wasn't sure.
Because when you thaw it, you have to realize that it is going to, if you thaw it all the way, it's only good in the refrigerator for 1 week. If you keep it refrigerated, it's good, for a long time. So, but one of my sons, he doesn't have time to do that, so he melted his E3 Live to crystals, ice crystals, not to the liquid, but to crystals, and then he put it in ice cube trays. So he'll just get 1 or 2 and put it in, do with whether it's a smoothie or putting it in a cup and getting in the car. So God, there's so much I want to say about it. Then I think about, depression. It really helps with depression.
Really?
And I know that our world, we face a lot of alcoholism, a lot of drug addiction. When people are depressed, I mean, I've been thinking about this, that depression to me is anything that we do in excess, whether that's drugs, alcohol, television, food, shopping, gambling, you name it, sex, whatever we do excessively where we're losing our balance, to me is a trigger or a trace or a flag for depression. So, and that's at its early stages. So when we ignore those signs and we just keep on going, that's when we start to get in the realms of dis-ease, imbalance. So E3 Live, because it balances the serotonin levels in the brain, it takes away that depression. I have one friend that started taking E3 Live, and she said she was depressed all the time, every day. She said she has no more depression anymore.
Wow. Okay, that's a nice first-person experience, and I think those kind of stories are valuable. If you hang out with friends and family and they tell you these stories, that works. And again, this product has been on the market how long?
I think it's, you know what, there's another thing. I don't know exactly the years that they were there. Please forgive me for that. I mean,
is this a 10-year-old company or a 2-year-old company?
No, it's about 10 plus. Mm-hmm. And forgive me again for not knowing some of these answers. But I didn't think I was going to be working for this company. I had done demos in the past, and I was like, no, I'm done with that work. I want to move on. And then when I took this product, and I needed a couple extra jobs so that I can go towards my dreams still. You know, part of me was like, oh, I'm too old for my dreams. You know, I'm just going to, like I said, embrace the humble. Then I started taking E3 Live, and I started realizing, whoa, you know, this stuff is amazing.
So within the past year, you began, now before you started using this product, you were a careful eater and you had a careful lifestyle. Is that not correct?
Oh, always, yes.
And yet the E3 Live, in addition to the careful lifestyle, made that much of a difference. And how long did it take before you noticed the difference?
It made a huge difference. I've been taking the product about 6 months now. And the first month that I took it, to tell you the truth, I was like, okay, this is all right, but I didn't feel that good. I mean, it's not that I didn't feel great. And I was thinking, what is it in me that I eat well, I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized that in my body, I had a lot of amalgams in my lifetime, in my childhood.
Mm-hmm, yes.
I have only taken out the upper and lower quadrants on my left side. I still have my fillings on my right side to be removed, and they're a lot. So I figured, well, that's probably what it is, because I've learned that when you anything you eat or drink, and even your saliva swallowing, those amalgams go into your body, that mercury.
Yes.
So we're looking at something that's also cleansing our body constantly. So that is something that I figure that's a really important starter for E3 Lives, that you're going to detox. So when you're detoxing, you have to be careful, because not only will you physically detox, you can emotionally detox. Because I find that our emotions are, it's all one. Our body, our emotions, our mind, everything's connected. As we clean our bodies out, a lot of times those emotions that we could not face or that we stuffed, whether, I was saying in whatever kind of form of depression that we find, those emotions or that experience will come up to the surface. And
Sure.
What for? To be healed. We are here to heal. I think that no matter what we have, no matter what family we have, whatever situation we have, I believe that we have it for a reason, and I believe that we have it to overcome it. Because when we overcome it, we are able to then share it, and then we're able to help. And what else is better, especially now that the baby boomers are, I look at myself, 58, I'm a baby elder. So how do we give back everything that we've learned? I mean, you have an amazing position here to give back. How do all of us give back every day? And I know that it's getting healthy, healing our lives, our bodies, our families, and sharing that. I mean, that to me is what a better world is about, that we take that responsibility, what you were talking about to the caller before, that we have an innate responsibility that I feel that we have sloughed off, and we've gotten into blame. We blame, whether it's the whatever, you name it, we can find everything to blame. But when we leave blame behind is when we start to heal, is when we start to say, okay, what is my responsibility in this? Well, gee whiz, if you are eating fast foods, if you are doing the shortcuts of this life and you're wanting to get ahead, what is it about you wanting to get ahead? Is it finances? Is it, I don't know, in relationships, career, whatever it is that we want to get ahead in? How much are we really getting ahead? We're really going backwards, because everybody knows once they get what they want, they know the truth. If they're not really fulfilled inside, they're the first ones to know.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And our health is the number one thing that we take with us everywhere, and it allows us the ability to know and to understand why the body is a temple.
Sure. And the E3 Live, so when was it you started to see results on the E3 Live? Was it
Okay.
2 days, 4 days, a week?
I started noticing, for me, a huge difference about 3 to 4 weeks. And then after that
And that
month,
was an ounce a day?
no, I started with a teaspoon, tablespoon a day. And then I started reading where someone said, well, no, that can be 1 week, and you can go the second week 2 tablespoons, the third week 3. I think everybody's has to feel it out. And again, any of these products, no matter what situation you're in your life, if you're under doctor's care, you need to take this to your doctor and show it to your doctor. We're not going to say, oh, this is going to cure everything.
Well, you're not allowed to make claims to these products anyway. That puts them in a drug category.
Exactly.
But you can tell me first-person experience, and that is fair in my opinion. So I'm not asking for diagnosis on the part of a physician. I'm asking for you to tell me what you have directly observed.
Okay, well, I've noticed my brain. I never thought that I was a depressed person. I mean, I know I went through periods of depression like any human being, any normal human being. And like I said, I never knew I had brain fog until I started taking Brain On. And then I started noticing.
Oh, is there more than one E3 Live product? I thought they were all the same.
No. Oh, no, there's many
And
products.
by the way, I have a question. Who's the founder and the owner of this company?
Michael and Tamara Campbell. And they are the CEOs and the founders of this company.
Michael and his wife.
Yes.
Michael
Tamara.
Campbell.
Yeah, Michael and Tamara Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And
are they old-time natural foods, raw fooders or something?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. I've never met Michael. I've spoken to him, and I hear he's in his 70s, and he looks amazing, and like he's in his 40s, and they're just alive. I mean, when you eat live foods, you have vibrancy.
And do you know how they managed to discover this product?
I don't know that. I'm sorry, I don't know that. But again, you can call the company and find out or on the website.
Okay, so how do we get in contact with E3 Live?
Okay, it's www.e3live.com, or you can call the company 888-800-7070. No, 7070.
Sandra, let's have that once again.
888-800-7070.
And they're in Canada, or they're here in the United States?
They're in Oregon.
They're in Oregon.
And we have an international number. I don't know if you're international.
Well, give us your international number, sure.
Okay, international number is 541-273-2212.
Let me have that once again.
541-273-2212.
And what, again, is the web address for us to contact you?
www.e3live.com. And also, if anybody wants to contact me at my email, sandyprovencio @gmail, sandyprovencio @gmail.com. And I do demos in the Malibu area in Thousand Oaks. And I am so excited. I can't stop talking about this. And I know I have so much to learn because as you're asking me questions that I don't know the answers to, it just makes me want to go back and study more.
Right. Well, Sandra from E3 Live, I'd like to thank you for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health. E3 Live, again, an algae product, and you said complete protein and a source of trace minerals and other nutrients. And any questions, you can contact them directly, E3 Live. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, and I'm your host, Josh Lane. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back after these important messages.
Broxy, maker of fine laptop apparel, laptop covers and sleeves, iPhone covers, and unique home decor. Broxy laptop sleeves are made to order and can be custom made to fit your computer. Just send a message with your order telling us the model and the dimensions of your laptop, and we'll make you your very own sleeve in whichever design you choose. Any of the pillow designs can be turned into laptop sleeves too. Remember, Broxy for all your computer embellishment needs. You can find Broxy at www.broxy.com. That's BROKESY.com. And remember to tell them that you heard it here on LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and the Romans. This spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Yes, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. 1 capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute, Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
You're listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Thank you for tuning in. Our guest now is Joseph Chilton Pearce, a distinguished educator who has written many important books, including The Biology of Transcendence, and The Crack in the Cosmic Egg, which is possibly his most widely known work. He has lectured and led workshops since the 1970s. He is calling us today from his home in the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. Dr. Pearce, are you on the phone?
I'm on the phone. It's making funny crackles. Let's hope it goes through.
Well, sir, it sounds very clear on our end. We're in Los Angeles. I very much appreciate you calling in. You have a distinguished body of work, and you have been lecturing and teaching. You taught at the university level for the most of your career, did you not?
No, all around. I've certainly taught on the college level, but most of my lecturing has been just worldwide on my books.
Yes.
In fact, I figured out I'd given about 2,000 talks in about 12 different countries.
Wow.
But most of them selfishly centering on my own books, promoting them.
And for those people who are tuning in today to LA Talk Live and who are unfamiliar with the thrust of your work, please let us know Who influenced you when you were a young student?
Who what?
Who influenced you? Who were the thinkers that most colored your ideas?
Oh, well, from my mid-teens on, it was William Blake, the poet.
Uh-huh.
And Blake was a tremendous influence on me, and my hero, and still is, one of my major heroes. But Lord, the influences were so right and left, and always the influences were on the great battle in me and everyone else, having to do with the fact that I knew had an infinite potential for creativity within us, but likewise a capacity for limiting ourselves to a great fault. And so it was this business of this tremendous potential for doing and our self-imposed limitations that has really been the big issue of my life.
Yes, I know that you mentioned that the whole idea of self-limitation, self-limiting is the bulk of what you wish to speak with us today. You also mentioned that Rudolf Steiner and Montessori were two separate educational philosophers that you read as a young student. And do they also play a part in your work?
Well, Rudolf Steiner, in general, much more than Montessori. Montessori was great, and particularly for educating young children. But Rudolf Steiner just blows the socks off you. He's probably one of the greatest geniuses we've had in the last 6 centuries. And in fact, I've been putzing around with Steiner for years and years, and continue thinking I'm just really beginning to get a glimpse of who Steiner really is. So he's been a pretty big figure.
And for those listeners who are unfamiliar with Rudolf Steiner, can you please, if you can, give us a broad perspective of what his teachings were?
Well, that's pretty difficult to do. He was a great systems builder, and his whole concern was the creative aspect and our interaction with it. And that was what he was working on, to get us to free our creative aspect and get rid of the doubts and limitations and fears that hold us back. And Steiner, boy, if you really start digging into Steiner, for one thing, you'll never finish digging. Steiner gave himself he gave over 5,000 talks, believe it or not. He, in fact, just never shut up.
Huh.
And just the fact that his blackboard sketches, he liked to have chalk in his hand when he talked, and he was sketches he wrote. And those blackboard sketches were finally being saved, and they're now published, and they're rare collector's items. So Steiner was constantly trying to get us to break through and open up to the fantastic creativity within us.
Now, Steiner is an important educator in the teens, 20s, and 30s in Europe. Was that his time frame?
No, Steiner really was late 19th century.
I see.
And died in 1923, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 24, and was extremely active in the last 5 or 6 years of his life. He's the one who gave us the great Waldorf school system. He gave us biological gardening. He gave us the list of great gifts that Steiner gave. And these weren't casual things. They were in-depth analysis of what could be done.
Now, Steiner did biodynamic gardening, which was possibly the precursor to what we now call organic agriculture. Is that not accurate?
Yes. Steiner stood against chemical agriculture as it was just coming into force in Europe. In fact, he made a lot of terrible enemies.
Yes.
He made a lot of enemies with that. by the chemical people themselves, Wilhelm Wundt and the rest of them.
Yeah,
And in fact,
it's easy to make
Yes.
enemies, I guess, when you tell people that there's a better way.
well, I will not talk about anything I haven't experienced, and that's not to be boasting. But I think I've been fortunate in these 87 years of mine to just be given the richest life that a human can have. And I'm thankful for it. I've never taken it for granted. But from my early teens on, I just was constantly running a kind of afoul with the conventional point of view. And but I've also never written anything that I haven't experienced.
So as a man of 87, you have the benefit of many of your ideas that maybe in the 1940s or 50s were seen as radical have now many of them have become mainstream. Is that not correct?
Well, that really is true, but too many of our ideas are still locked into that old prison of mind that has had our whole species locked up for a long time. But these breakthroughs, or whatever you want to call them, are happening more and more.
Yes.
I think right today is one of the most exciting times anybody could ask or learn. I live right up from the Monroe Institute, Robert Monroe. I've known him since way back in the 70s, and I got to know him because he has 3 books on journeying out of the body. And Robert Monroe, a very successful businessman and a very intelligent man with a lot of background, nevertheless, found himself going out of his body. I'll leave all the reasons for it. Over and over until finally he couldn't even get any sleep. He was always out of his body journeying around. And to come across someone like this is impressive, because I've certainly been out of my body, and it's nice to find somebody who has. I spent almost 10 years off and on in a spiritual ashram in India, Muktananda's ashram. And Lord, the things that went on in that ashram in India, it was a world all to itself. And I learned pretty quickly you've got to be kind of careful when you come back into the ordinary 20th century mode of talking about all this, or you'll find you're talking to an empty hall. People just very quietly leave.
Well, Dr. Pierce, then, many of the listeners might know Muktananda, many might not. Would you like to comment about that period and tell us some of the surprising revelations that you experienced?
Well, my discovery of Muktananda himself was an extremely remarkable, what would be called psychic phenomena. It was right here in my living room one night, and I had given a talk down at this place in Colorado. This marvelous woman sent me a little book, and my whole issue had been on play. And play is what the whole human experience was about. We were born to play in this world, and our great tragedy is that instead of play, we are fearful and so on. But at any rate, she sent me this book, and it was called Play of Consciousness. And I picked it up, and I got no more than the first 3 or 4 lines when I went out of my body, and I had this fantastic experience. I'd been out of my body before, but this was a maha, just from reading this title, Play of Consciousness, by this Muktananda. And I remember putting the book down and saying to my wife, well, pack your clothes. Wherever this guy is, I'm going. And I did, by golly. And we spent the best part of 10 years over there in his ashram. And I don't regret it at all. And left it with great warm feelings and a rich experience behind it.
Well, Mr. Pierce,
behind me.
for those of us who are listening to today on Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, can you give me a definition of out-of-body experience?
Well, yes, it's quite simple. You feel your true identity, yourself, with all your feelings and facts, simply leaving the body behind. And it has happened to so many people. It's almost commonplace, but most people are a little bit reticent about it. They're a little shy of talking about it. But no, it's a feeling of your live feeling self, your emotions and all with it. Your true self is not dependent on the body, but we can leave it and come back into it and take possession of it again. This has been discovered by so many people, and is more and more all the time right today.
And you spent, what was Muktananda's ashram in Pune? Where was Muktananda's ashram?
Well, Ganesh Puri, India,
okay.
About 80 miles northwest of Bombay.
I see. And so you lived on the ashram, on the ashram grounds?
Yes, my wife and daughter and myself lived right there. Now, I was constantly traveling myself. I have all my commitments to travel, and Muktananda told me, said, we don't meditate in caves around here, but right out on Main Street, getting our nose bloodied with everybody else. And so he insisted I go right back into lecturing, and it's always been about children and the care of children determining the kind of life that child will later on lead.
Yes.
By the way, just recently there came out these two marvelous pictures of brains of these two 3-year-old children, one of whom had been loved and nurtured, and the other who had been neglected. And there was the difference of those two brains as night and day. It was as though they didn't even belong to the same species.
Really?
That went all over the place.
Wow. Now, when you were studying with Muktananda, I think studying might be the correct term. Muktananda is a spiritual teacher who was very much involved with athletics and the artistic community, was he not?
No, I don't think so.
Muktananda, didn't he run?
Muktananda?
Yeah, was he a runner? Was an athlete?
No.
Okay.
No.
Mistaken, sorry. And so did he also promote the ideas of education for children, your ideas of education for children?
Well, I don't know that he promoted any of my ideas as such. He simply promoted my whole thing of exposing to people their true spiritual nature, and helping them to. I can't help them to experience it, but I can talk about it with them, give them examples of them, and let them know that I had been doing that for all my life, and I was okay. And it gives people confidence to go along when they get these premonitions and feelings and all in them. I think that the more we can, it's like Bob Monroe said, by the time maybe 30,000 people had taken his system, because he's got a marvelous system at the Monroe Institute, and they go out their body regularly. They have a big, or it's a 4 or 5 day program. It's a strenuous program, but people take it and they go out of their body. And Bob said, but if they had about 30,000 people to do that, it would make a big change in the world.
Sure.
And Monroe is having a tremendous influence.
And he teaches out-of-body experience?
Bob himself has been dead now about 10 years. So he doesn't teach, but there at the Monroe Institute, they carry through a whole raft of programs, which give you every opportunity to go out of your body, and then give you lots of reinforcement if you do. But it's not just out of the body that they're working with. It's just discovering the whole creative process within us. The Monroe Institute really has it. I've always said they had a real tiger with a tail, and they're doing awfully well in the world. They have people coming here from all over the world to take their program. I live a mile west of the Monroe Institute.
You're calling us today from your home in West Virginia?
I did what?
You're calling us today from your home in West Virginia?
It was not in West Virginia. It's in Southwest Virginia.
Southwest Virginia, I see.
Uh-huh. And I'm right below Charlottesville, Virginia.
I see.
And,
yeah, that's a nice area. I've actually been to Charlottesville. It's a very lovely area. It's always been
it is.
Yes.
I'm 25 miles below there. I built a little cabin in the woods, all built it by hand, almost 40 years ago, and have used it as my retreat ever since. I've born a couple of my children here, and we all gather here all the time. I had 15, in fact, around the Thanksgiving table just the other day.
Well, that sounds like fun.
We have a good time.
That sounds like fun. Now, you had a book called The Crack in the Cosmic Egg, which was a big book for you, was it not? I mean, that kind of put you on the map. Was that your big book?
I hadn't thought of it that way at all. In fact, I'd been writing all sorts of essays and things for a long time, and giving these constant talks. But one day, I was teaching in a particular school, and one day a member of the faculty came up and said to me, "Joe, I hate to tell you this, but we in the faculty here think you are hopelessly mad." Well, I was delighted because that's what they call my great hero, William Blake, was hopelessly mad.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided from that I resented them being condescending about putting up with me, and I would just start and work on this book. I spent 12 years on that book. I had 4 children on my lap half the time. Their mother had died, and it was a busy time. So it took me a long time to write it, and I'm a slow writer anyway. But I spent 12 years on that book and all. And then when I came out with that book, of course, it triggered up these other books. And I think I've had about 10 titles so far. The newest one just came out.
Yes, and the new one, The Heart-Mind Matrix, Joseph Chilton Pierce.
Yes.
Now, that book of yours is really the central premise that we hold ourselves back. We're responsible for holding ourselves back?
Oh, yes, it certainly does. I didn't even, that was a name given it when we switched publishers right in the middle. My original name for that book was Strange Loops and Gestures of Creation. And they said that's just too esoteric sounding.
That does sound esoteric. Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I turned it over to Inner Traditions, and they changed the title, and they changed the cover, but not one word in it. It's exactly what I have in the other. And I published 6 other books with them. That's why they took it with no trouble.
And the premise of your new book, I mean, obviously it's a full book, but do you feel that people really just hold themselves back? And then if they do that, how can you not hold yourself back? What are some of the techniques that you might suggest?
Well, of course, the usual techniques are meditation, silence. Robert Sardello, a dear friend and one of my real heroes, wrote this incredible book on silence and how to achieve real silence. And it's not just not making a noise, but it's a movement of the mind into this incredible space. And all this put together has a tremendous freeing quality to it. And that's what the book is about, this new book. In fact, it has to do with the fact that mind creates a reality which creates mind. They are a strange loop. They bring each other about. That's what the strange loop phenomena is. And so the book has to do with the intelligence of the heart and the intellect of the brain. I brought this out in a book in 1990. In fact, it was Harper that published that. The fact that the heart produces pure intelligence, the intelligence of God, if you like, the intelligence of spirit and wholeness. Whereas the intellect, the brain produces intellect. And that's what screws up everything. If we produce intellect from the brain without having its resource deep in the great intelligence of the heart.
All right, now that I kind of understand that a little bit. Can you elaborate on that concept more for me and for the listeners here on my show today on LA Talk Live? Because I don't really have an understanding of that concept.
Well, all I can say is if you look at it very coldly,
yes,
right today, the vast majority of our troubles have at their basis a material scientific belief structure. And the belief, in fact, material science, the word science simply means knowledge, but by saying material science, we're speaking of that which is in the popular notion of science says, and you see people looking through microscopes and blowing up everything and so on. No, all of that is a result of a brilliant intellect. Never downplay the brilliance of the human intellect, but if it's cut off from the intelligence of the heart, then we become destructive, and that's what's happened to us right now. So what I do is simply say, praise God for your intellect, but let's hook it in with the intelligence of the heart before we destroy ourselves. So
yes.
I can't distinguish between those two any better. If you, in fact, that's the main theme in so many of my books, and certainly is in this last one of mine that just came out.
I see. Yes. And when people read this, when the last statement just made, which actually I think I understand that statement. What is the next step when a person realizes that? What do they do next? I mean, let's say, for example, a person is dealing with illness. How does that manifest based on your work?
Well, let me switch here for just a second because I'm afraid I'll run out of time. A remarkable architect by the name of Judith von Halle.
Yes.
An architect from Berlin, came over here, did her PhD at the University of New York, and went back to Berlin to practice her craft as an architect. She was a follower of Rudolf Steiner, and you'd have to know the enormous extent of Steiner's thought to understand this next thing. Judith von Halle, out of a clear blue sky, about 9 years ago, experienced the stigmata. And that's ordinarily the first time it was the great St. Francis that experienced the stigmata, which is to have all of a sudden on your body the wounds that were inflicted at the crucifixion.
Yes.
And it's very rare. Catholic saints will occasionally have that and so on. Well, at any rate, Judith von Halle, who was not a Catholic, follower of Rudolf Steiner, came down with the stigmata and began to experience the entire experience of the crucifixion from 2 or 3 different angles at once. She was really in a very strange space, a very wonderful space. And the other thing is, from the minute that happened to her, she was unable to touch food. Any kind of food created a terrible reaction in her. And she is now gone for 8-9 years with no food whatsoever.
Really?
And a lot of people, well, and she points out very clearly if people would simply discover the fact that they don't have to stuff themselves with food all the time, it would radically change every single aspect of modern man. One thing, of course, you would do away with medicine and all of its errors. You would do away with your hospitals. You would do away with your prison systems and so on. She goes right down the line. It would be the most radical change in history if we simply discovered that we don't have to eat. And I've certainly gone on some mighty long fasts, nothing like Judith Von Holly is talking about. But I find that the old New Testament statement, fasting and prayer, are great weapons to hook together. And so the idea of Judith Von Holly not eating in all these years. Now, I have close friends who've gone over and spent time with Judith Von Holly. They brought me back photographs of her, just snapshots they've taken. And I can't get over those things. I keep them around. I'm practically making a fetish over them. It's the most beautiful face I ever saw. Something tremendous comes over me just looking at them. So I'm thankful for these great people I've had the chance to know, and Judith Von Holly is one of the really great people alive today. This is in a little book. It's been published by Temple Lodge, which is one of the Rudolf Steiner presses, and the title of the book is "And If He Has Not Been Raised," and that has a very New Testament kind of a spiritual thing. This is not. We're talking about something that's really quite new, quite extraordinary. People who are discovering that they don't have to eat are cropping up all over the place. A group in Australia, you might know about them. They were channeling one day and picked up all these careful, spelled out ways by which a person could follow it, and after 21 days of this preparation, they no longer again had to eat. And I know an awful lot of people who've done that, and it works, and it has certainly made a dramatic difference in their life. One good friend of mine who had that happen, and went 18 months without food, but he said he got bored with it because every day at lunch, he and his staff had lunch together, and he missed it too much.
Right.
So he didn't lose a thing. When you go back to eating, immediately the physical system can handle it with no problem. There's no lapse. But if you cut it out, easily the physical system can handle it. It was in 1988 that a physicist, I don't know, I can't remember his name, a physicist, said that he was discovering so many different forms of energy coursing through the body that we were just discovering that all these tremendous forces in the body that we don't know about and don't utilize. Now, that was 1988, and it was in the early 90s that this whole thing about going through this process and not having to eat again started. People laugh about it and make fun of them, call them the breatharians and so on.
Right, breatharians, yes.
Tell you, they have with the seed of a tremendous opening up to a new realm for the human.
Well, that is a topic for another show, the breatharian movement, which is a term that you don't hear too often. I remember as a young man reading, was it Johnny Love Wisdom and Morris Kroc, who a long time ago wrote about that concept. But it's very interesting. Joseph Pierce is our guest calling in from Virginia. His new book is called The Heart-Mind Matrix. Joseph, where can we pick up a copy of your new book?
Well, Inner Traditions.
Inner Traditions is your publisher, so the best way is...
ITI, Inner Traditions, from, I think, Vermont. You must surely know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Joseph, do you have a website where people can contact you?
I do not. I won't fool with computers anymore.
Okay.
I'm sorry. As I say, I'm 87 and getting cranky.
Getting cranky? Okay. Not too cranky.
And getting cranky, and I don't fool with computers anymore. If I have to write something, I'll write it by hand. Mostly, I would rather use the telephone because writing gets to be a chore.
I got you.
I'm not as adept as I used to be. I'm 87, and you pay a price with age.
I guess you might. Joseph Pearce, thank you very much for calling today. We've been speaking with the author Joseph Chilton Pearce, author of many books. His newest book is called The Heart-Mind Matrix, published by Inner Traditions. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. The radio show is Here's to Your Health, and you've been listening to us today on the LA Talk Live radio network. We'll be right back after these important messages.
Oh, your skin looks great.
Thank you.
What's your secret?
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence.
Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence?
Yes, it's a beauty secret used since the time of the Greeks and Romans. The spa in Malibu told me about frankincense and myrrh by Ancient Essence, and now my skin is lovely.
Well, your skin looks great.
Call Ancient Essence at 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Call 1-800-627-9813. Discover the secret. Frankincense and myrrh oil by Ancient Essence. Discover the secret of beautiful skin. Available at fine spas and beauty centers.
Walk, run, climb, play. Solgar number 7 can help. Feel the difference for yourself. Solgar number 7 actually shows improvement in joint comfort within 7 days. Now you can start to get back on track fast and pursue the activities you love. Solgar number 7 is a breakthrough in joint care with no glucosamine and no chondroitin. The advanced bioactives in Solgar number 7 help to increase flexibility, mobility, range of motion, and actually shows improvement within just 7 days. One capsule, once a day, is all you need. When stiff joints occasionally say no, Solgar number 7 says yes. Visit Solgar.com and learn more about Solgar number 7 today. That's www.solgar.com, www.solgar.com. Solgar number 7, official sponsors of Here's to Your Health with Josh Lane and LA Talk Live.
Journey Sisters is an organization that embodies and captivates women from all walks of life. Our membership includes 44 women that are constantly growing in the areas of personal development and community involvement. Monthly, we offer free leadership classes at McCade's Restaurant. Journey aims to inform women in the areas of heart disease and HIV and AIDS. Experience the journey now by logging into www.journeymosaicinc.com. Toll free 888-906-5519. Journey with no excuses.
Hey, are you spending your time or are you wasting your time? Well, kill some time hanging out with Michael Collier, Brooks Jackson, and the whole crew at the Michael Collier Morning Show. I Get Up Late. That's every Tuesday, 3 until 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you don't know what that is, you better get on the internet and look it up. And while you're there, go to latalklive.com and check me out.
Joshua Lane, member of the board of directors of Dr. Ann Wigmore's Hippocrates Health Institute. Josh Lane was part of the Dr. Ann Wigmore team that brought wheatgrass, sprouts, and raw foods to a worldwide audience. And now the host of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, Joshua Lane.
We're back. You're listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, and I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Our next guest has been here before. Allie works with CapTel caption telephones for people who are handicapped.
Hearing impaired.
Hearing impaired.
Any level of hearing loss. So I'm talking people that have a moderate level of hearing loss all the way to severe. This is the perfect device for them. In fact, it's the best device for them. So anybody with hearing loss.
Now, hearing loss, is there a percentage of the population that is affected with hearing loss?
That's a really good question. As we continue to age, beginning with about the age of 30, everybody continues to go deeper and deeper into the possibility of gaining more hearing loss. Right now, it's mainly the baby boomer generation with iPods and everything, including the music rock concerts today. It's actually appearing that people are gaining more hearing loss at a younger age. So it's incredibly encompassing in terms of our entire population.
Right. And really, a lot of it is actually listening to loud music or loud noise. That's a shame.
Listening to loud music, mixing medications, getting ill. I mean, it can come from anything. It can be people are often, of course, born with hearing loss. Mainly, it comes with the people that I work with. It'll be the senior population. So as they get older, you lose your hearing because they're like little bristles in your ear, in the ear canal actually, that separate from each other. That's what causes hearing loss. And of course, that's with age. But like I said, mixing medications, it can be becoming ill. Some people wake up and they find that they have hearing loss and for no apparent reason. So it can truly be something that can devastate your entire world. One day you wake up and, you cannot hear anything anymore, and it's devastating.
That really must be enormously upsetting. What medications, in your experience, are known to be problematic?
That's a really good question. It's not exactly what I focus on. However, I know that anybody who suffers with blood problems or heart problems, but any medications, any mixture of medications, you never really know what's going to cause hearing loss. So it really doesn't depend on the medication entirely. It's more based upon the person's body chemistry and what affects them individually. So that's why we've created this telephone that's truly tremendous, and I have literally seen it change people's lives.
And this telephone, which we're showing on camera, it looks big touch numbers for people maybe older or a little health problem or something. Nice design. And here's a screen. What does the screen do for me?
Okay, so basically, just like you touched on, it has the larger buttons, and I'll tell you why. It's mainly based to be user-friendly. It's extremely user-friendly. Because the majority of our population that do use the phone are older, are seniors, the buttons are really handy for them so that they're able to actually notice what they're touching. They like being able to grasp that button and really know what numbers they're dialing. Yeah. Now, it's an amplified telephone, meaning that it's amplified louder sound up to 40 decibels, which can be actually moderated down at the bottom of the phone and the base of the phone, so it's very easy to heighten the volume. The screen that's attached to the phone writes out captions and displays everything that the incoming caller is saying. So everything that the person is either hearing or not hearing is going to be written right there on the screen of the phone so they can refer to the screen. So let's say that, some of my patients who have just moderate hearing loss, they can hear pretty well with the higher volume. However, certain words such as meet, greet, feet, are really hard to distinguish between. So what they can do is then... Yeah.
Why?
The consonants mixed with the vowels. If you're on the phone and someone says, I'm going to meet you at 5 p.m., I have a lot of people that say meet. Was that meet? Was that greet? Was that feet? But they don't even want to admit that they can't hear it. So, or they'll say, what? So in that case, then they will refer to the screen in order to know what word was said. Then I also have a lot of patients who are severely, severely hearing impaired, and they literally will read the entire conversation and respond back and feel like they're able to have a normal conversation,
yes,
which is excellent.
Yes. And this technology, is this new? Is this very new?
It's the most up-to-date technology. We invented this technology. It's voice recognition. I'm very happy and proud to say that we invented it. And
the CapTel organization.
The CapTel, actually, and the president of our company is one of the original engineers, and she's fantastic. And it is the most up-to-date technology, voice recognition software working with a human that we call a caller assistant, so that we have a human working with the voice recognition. They work together to create 98% accuracy, which is the best that's out there. there. So, for example, captions on TV, it's very similar to that, except that's different. That's someone typing, and therefore the accuracy with that is not as good. This is the voice recognition, so there's no typing involved, and it has a 98% accuracy, which is wonderful. This telephone also has the ability to save captions, which is extremely unique. So in that case, people can actually go back and review their conversations up to 500 lines. So if you want to go back and you said, gosh, the doctor called and said, I was supposed to be there at what time? After you hang up the phone, you can go back and review that entire conversation and notice, gosh, he said 2 o'clock. I didn't even have to write it down. It's a really unique feature to our phone.
And when the phone rings, does the display unit change color? People know, oh, the phone's ringing. If they can't hear it, they can maybe see it becomes red or something, or green or something. Does it do anything like that?
That's another great question. So it has an extremely loud ringer. It's 90 decibels, which is very, very loud.
90 decibels, and you mentioned 40 decibels, but I don't really know the terminology. What does that mean exactly?
So the easiest way to describe it is about 4 times the average sound of a regular ringer. Or for the 90 decibels, it'll be that 9 times louder than the average ringer. So for the 40 decibels, it's going to be 4 times louder than what you normally hear on a regular phone.
So when you're chatting with me right now in studio, how many decibels are you and I using?
Well, it seems a little bit louder in here, so I would say about 20 to 25. It's quite loud, but on a normal phone, it's usually about 10.
I see. All right.
Yeah, so that gives you a good idea.
And a normal conversation, say in a schoolroom or something like that, is that 10 decibels?
About that, 10 to 15. It depends on how much external noise is going around you as well. I was just going to say also a great feature of our phone is that there's a built-in answering machine. A lot of times people have incredible difficulty with an answering machine, or people that call in, leave messages, they're calling from a cell phone, from the road, there's crackling. This is a built-in answering machine that will write out everything that's being said on the message so that people don't have to worry about missing numbers. And it will print out the number. If someone is speaking a phone number, it will actually print that out on the screen for them so that they can know exactly which number to call that person back at.
That does seem very useful.
Yes.
And does the state of California provide these for us if we need them here in California?
So what we do is the service is entirely free. And when I say the service, I mean the captioning service, which are the words that are being captioned on the screen. There is no monthly charge whatsoever. Under the Americans with Disabilities Act, it's actually taken care of, which is wonderful. The phone itself, you can be obtained 2 different ways, one of which you can be provided free through the state program, which I actually help people go through the process of doing. Or they can purchase it themselves for a one-time reduced price of $40. We're doing a special right now. It's a special going for that price. Otherwise, it's for $99, just a one-time $99. So
that also seems very reasonable.
It's extremely reasonable.
It's
the software is incredibly expensive, and the fact that we're able to offer it at this subsidized price is fantastic.
And the developer of this, do you want to mention her name?
Oh, Barbara Dreyfus is the president of the company here. The sales office is in Santa Monica, and then our manufacturing office is in Wisconsin. And they manufacture everything here in the United States, which is also another unique feature to our phone.
That's very nice.
Yeah, and our customer service, which is entirely provided here in the United States. Which I want to point out, there's actually a button on the phone, this blue button right here.
I see that.
On the base of the phone. Just by pushing that button, you're able to get a live person from our customer service team here in America. So no robots and no accents. It's somebody who's actually used to working with people who have hearing loss. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, by pushing that button, you are able to get somebody live to help you if you're having any issues at all with the phone.
And the president of the company, what was it that gave her an interest in this type of this needs to be done. We need to do this. Was it her mom and dad have health problems? Was there someone in the family?
That's it's interesting you point that out. Yeah, her parents were both actually hearing impaired and were deaf themselves, and we have a.
But she is not deaf.
Oh no, she is not at all.
But the parents were deaf.
Yes, and our distributing company, which is Whitebrecht WCI, which is in Santa Monica, we distribute the CapTel phone.
What's the name of the company again?
It's Whitebrecht Communications, WCI for short. And we have been selling assistive listening devices for over 27 years. And in the last 10 years, this CapTel phone has really improved and is booming because it's such a service that people need. People, I will tell you, I see seniors all the time that are bound to their rooms or their homes, cannot move practically, don't have family members that come to visit them. The only way they can communicate or even get in touch with anyone is by using this phone. Otherwise, they cannot use the phone. They can't hear. People don't like to call them if they can't hear them. So it's really something that changes their life.
And so today, in soon to be 2013, the injured community, the impaired community, and I guess there seems to be a lot of Americans who have injury, but they're not invisible where they may have been certainly 30 or 40 years ago, even 20 years ago. Is this part of a new understanding, a new consciousness that people with injury are still human beings and would like to be a part of the swim of things?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think it's really important to recognize, which is what the Americans with Disabilities Act does, to recognize that we are all human beings. We all deserve equality in forms of communication. We all deserve the equal way of communicating with each other. And if for some reason someone is not able to communicate equally, I mean, that's ridiculous. We're all humans. We all should be equal amongst each other. So therefore, that's how the communication factor comes in there with that.
I actually have a family story. My mother's younger brother, Irving Lewis Horowitz, who was an important sociologist and very important in the field of third world development, specifically Cuban communism. When he was born, he had a cleft palate and a hair lip. He was an impoverished young man living in Harlem, New York. And in those days, if you had, and this was in the 30s, if you had a cleft palate and a hair lip, you were considered mentally defective. Which is very interesting to have that kind of burden on you when you're a young person. Oh, you're just a mental, and of course he was mentally defective. He had a cleft palate and a hair lip, and some people feel that's a nutritional deficiency, and some people feel it's vitamin A, zinc, other things. I'm not really definitive on that, but possibly it is nutritional. I don't really know. But I remember Irving, who became a very powerful intellectual, commenting on that, and you could see that even 50 years later, it was an issue that he as a young man was seen as a inferior person.
Exactly. Yeah, that's so interesting you bring that up. One thing I will say, kind of in connection to that, one of my favorite clients is 97. She actually is still living on her own in a large condominium, was going to be forced out of her condominium because she can't hear. So people couldn't get a hold of her. They were worried about her. Yes. They were constantly thinking, gosh, if I can't get a hold of her, this is ridiculous. They were making her move out. She expressed to me, well, I mean, family, because if you think about it, there was an emergency or something.
Oh, family wanted to move
family
out.
Wanted
I
to
got
move
you.
out. Oh, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, no family. But she expressed to me her desire to stay in her home, which is very typical. To be independent. Right. And she has every cognitive availability still. She's extremely aware of her surroundings. Her balance is a little off. That's probably the only other thing. She had never heard of the CapTel before, and that's what I'm doing here is spreading the knowledge about it. I gave her the education. I installed 2 phones in her house. She's now been living there with those phones safely, happily for the last year, I believe, and her family's extremely happy. So that's a really great story of showing how someone's able to actually continue living their regular life, even as a 97-year-old woman.
That is a very good story. Yeah. And also one thing that many people don't realize is most older Americans are not living in assisted living facilities. They're living independent lives. They're in their own homes and apartments.
That's how they want to, in my experience, that's how most of them want to actually live the end of their lives, is to live independently. While this phone actually is able to be installed, and I've installed many in retirement facilities and assisted living, but it does allow people to remain independent. It gives them that independence, which is huge. So it actually offers them that ability to remain independent.
And once again, Allie, how can we contact CapTel to get more information about your phone?
Okay, it's very easy. You can do it many different ways. You can go online to our website, which is www.captel. I'll spell that. It's C like cat, A, P like Peter, T like Thomas, E, L like lion.com. Very simple. You go online. You can research it right there on our website. You can get in touch with the live person right there. You can type to, or you can call me at 310-260-9366, or our 800 number, which is 1-800-233-9130, and you get a wonderful live representative.
Okay, do me a favor. Let me just have those numbers once again.
Sure, please. No problem. Okay, so we have my direct line, which is 310-260-9366, and our 800 number, which is 1-800-233-9130.
Well, Allie from CapTel, thank you for being a guest today on our show, and you've been on before.
Thank you so much.
And this seems like an important device that people can use And by the way, so I can get it through the state will pay for it, or I can buy it.
Exactly. And you call me, call our 1-800 number. We'll help you go either way. So we'll help you out either way. But we're really excited about this product. I am so passionate about this product. I have worked for the company for 5 years, and it truly, truly makes a difference.
Well, thank you for being a guest today on Here's to Your Health. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You've been listening to Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live. I'm your host, Joshua Lane. Thank you for tuning in.
For more information about the guests and sponsors of Here's to Your Health on LA Talk Live, please call us at 818-707-0005.